Welcome to another episode of iSocial Talks. I'm your host, Brian Fanzo, known as iSocial Fans, and today we'll be talking about mobile social tools, content that drives comments, and a little rant about influencers and the importance of community relationships. Hope you're ready. So today I am actually pulling in a couple questions from the community that I had asked. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to everybody that's listening. I know the last couple episodes I've been trying to make these a little bit shorter in length so that they're a little bit easier to consume via podcast, as well as hopefully I'm not wasting your time with fluff or things that you don't care about. In return, I would love it if you could hit the subscribe button and share it to your community. But I'd also love to hear in the comments if you like the more 20 to 30-minute versions where I focus on giving examples and sharing some more detailed explanations with actionable points. Or do you like the 5 to 10-minute talks where I kind of focus on a couple key points and then eject out? I'm still kind of adapting and learning as I go. These will all be posted as podcast episodes up on the podcast world, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and that world. So hopefully you guys are finding some value in here. I really do appreciate the support and all the comments. It's really making these fun. I'm going to definitely hold to my promise that I made a couple weeks ago of producing these things 3 days a week, starting this week. So this is the first one of this week on a Tuesday, October 21st. So let's get into the first question. Once again, just use hashtag iSocialTalks on any of the social networks. Twitter is usually the easiest, but I have social listening tools to track down the questions that you have. And this one comes in from my friend Mike Delgado, who I appreciate. He had me on as a guest on one of the 2 Twitter chats that he runs as part of his full-time job. Marketing Chat, which is a monthly chat, and then he runs a weekly Twitter chat called Credit Chat that they do a great job. His company, Experian, they embrace and really talk and chat with the community, and they've really supported him. And he's become a good friend now after meeting at Social Media Marketing World almost a year ago. So Mike asked a question. He said, Brian, if you only had one app on your phone, because he knows I'm a phone junkie, I'm a mobile guy. If I only had one app on my phone, what app would it be to help me with work on social media? So that's a great question. And usually when someone asks me about tools or tips on software, my first question usually back is, I don't talk tools or apps or software until I understand the strategy and the goal. And for this case, Mike actually has it on there. He says, to help me work with social media. And I would say I do a lot of my work. A lot of the engagement that I do is from social media. Prior, I'd say a couple months ago, before I kind of switched how I do some of my live events and what I'm speaking at and some of my responsibilities, I was doing close to 80% of my social on either my mobile phone or on my iPad, which we see here. And for those of you that are watching iSocial Talks, this is still the same iPad with a giant crack in the corner, as if you can see it, because, well, I've had some technology problems. My laptop died. The Apple guy, when I took it in, it's a 2009, so I've put it through its ringer. He laughed at me and said the cost would be more than it would be to actually buy more than the laptop was worth. So right now I'm doing this on borrowed gear. That's why you kind of see it from a different angle with my webcam. And then today, so that was yesterday. Then today, my third monitor decided to die as well today. So my partner Daniel said it feels like I have like technology Ebola for right now. So I think it's 2 strikes. I think the third strike will hopefully be the last one. So I'm not sure what will die. Hopefully it's not my iPhone 6 Plus. But the question was, what for social media? And so I'm gonna eliminate, because I can't ever pick one. And Mike knows me well enough that he asked the question knowing probably that he'd get a couple tips and tools. But I'm going to eliminate all of the native apps because I'm really a big fan of the native apps on iOS. So the Twitter native app is one that I really use a lot. I actually use that alongside with Tweetbot for Twitter. But those 2 are really nice. LinkedIn native app, of course, is drastically improved over the last couple months. Google Plus app is a great app. Probably one of my favorite apps for mobile is Pinterest. Pinterest does a great job. Instagram, using their native app, is another one. So not including the native apps that we manage social media, what one tool would I say is, helps me manage the most? And I would say that the configuration for me, the thing that helps me manage social the most, is actually notifications. And you'll notice I'm not wearing it right now today, but I do have a Pebble watch that I wear often when I'm not typing a blog post, which I was doing today, so I have it off. But I love being able to customize and tweak my notifications on what I'm getting to my phone and what I'm getting notified on my wrist, what I'm getting notified on my computer, because that's really how I manage everything. From how do I know about all the Twitter chats that I'm involved in? It's a calendar notification. How do I know when someone DMs me while I'm logged into my phone? I get a different notification versus if someone DMs me on Twitter and I'm not logged into my phone, but I'm logged into my computer. So one of the big things for my social media management is actually customizing and managing my notifications. It's always tweaking. I'm always changing. If I only get notified if someone that I follow mentions me, or if someone has to be, a conversation that I have. But when I think about what one app, I'm gonna give you one app from my iPhone and one app from my iPad that I really love for managing social media. And so for my iPhone, it has to be, without question, the If This Then That app. And it might not be one that I would say that I use a lot on my phone after I've configured everything, but that app allows me to do things like I have every picture that I've ever tweeted out automatically sent to a box.com folder that allows me to manage that and then add that into my tweets. And because I have Box installed on my iPhone natively, I can actually drag those pictures into a tweet if I need to tweet out something from my phone. The other thing that does really nice is if I take screenshots on my desktop or screenshots on a different device, my If This Then That app actually uploads them into a folder as well, and that folder is also accessible via my phone. So those things are really important. I'm also a huge fan of Evernote for taking notes on anything and everything I do. From a content consumption perspective, my favorite app on my phone for content consumption is actually from Buffer, the app called Daily, and it's kind of I have it up because I was going to show you, but I don't think it shows very well on the Google Hangout, but it's kind of like Tinder for content. So I can actually swipe and that one adds to my buffer. I can swipe that one and it adds to my buffer. Okay, I don't want that one, so I swipe the other way. This is a great way for me, and one of my favorite pieces, I can actually read the post because hopefully everything you're sharing, you're actually reading. But it's actually a really easy tool to use. It also allows me to kind of sort through the content in a pretty fast manner. Usually what I end up doing is I have that automatically added to a Buffer account that has no schedule. Then I can go in and read it, customize my tweet or my sharing content, and then add it to a Buffer that has a schedule. So for content consumption, I really like this Daily app. For content consumption on the iPad, I swear by and still believe fully in the app called Zite. If you guys aren't familiar with that one, Z-I-T-E. They were recently bought in the last couple of months by Flipboard. So I'm a fan of Flipboard as well, but the dynamic magazine of content based on RSS feeds and categories that Zite, Z-I-T-E, has built for me. I've been using that app for well over a couple of years now, and I can look through that, spend about a half hour, and feel like I get all of the content I need to consume from the internet. So I don't spend all day searching Google or scanning different feeds to look for content to read or share for the next day. That app does a great job for it. And so but my favorite app on my iPad for social, to go back to Mike's question from an iPad perspective, is actually the Pocket app. So Pocket app is just like Read Later or Read, one of those apps where you're bookmarking content. But because of the tagging that you're able to do, I pocket everything that I read, and it automatically adds it to that magazine so that I can then read it at night. I do my content consumption between 10 p.m. and midnight, usually, Sunday through Thursday. And then I'm adding it to the scheduler so that it is tweeted out or posted on Google Plus or Facebook the next day. So those are the apps that I really like. I'm an app junkie, so keep the app questions coming in. I have one of the talks I'll be doing later on this week. We'll actually be talking about what my favorite wearable tech apps are. and I'll kind of compare Wemo and a couple of the other geeky apps that I've done. I just updated to iOS 8.1, which I think hopefully most people are starting to do. It has some great features, including Apple Pay, which I can't wait to use. Hopefully tonight or tomorrow I'll be heading out to a Whole Foods because I want to just use the Apple Pay because I'm that big of a geek, I know. But one of the things that I do is I actually built my, I didn't upgrade my iPhone from a backup. I actually did it from scratch. And this is a great thing to practice because you quickly realize what apps you really love and which ones you don't. Because although it's really time consuming to put all your passwords in and log into every app again, it kind of almost is that perfect digital refresh so that I only have apps that I really want to use. And then also it allows me to kind of reorganize my home screen. So I don't think you'll be able to see it, but I have just downloaded the apps from apps that I want to use. And as you can imagine, I have pages upon pages and a couple folders worth of apps because for me, I love apps, but I want to organize and refresh how I have them set up on my iPhone. So that's on my to-do list tonight. So I'm going to jump into this question number 2. Thanks again, Mike. Everybody make sure you check out Mike Delgado on the Twitter. So I'll make sure to have his information in the bio notes below, as well as check out Marketing Chat once a month and Credit Chat that he runs, 2 great Twitter chats that are out there. Second question comes in from Sarah Cunningham, Sarah Cunning on the Twitter. So I'll make sure to have that Twitter account on there as well. Said, Brian, I'm interested in tools, another tools question, for building a blog community that participate in comments. She says she's familiar with Disqus, Comment Love, Livefire, but what else is there, or what else can you use? So I might have an interesting insights on this one, and if you follow Chris Brogan or Copyblogger, I know Copyblogger just announced that they're getting rid of their Facebook page. I know Chris Brogan got rid of comments on his blog account. I also know Robert Scoble, a thought leader in the tech space that I follow closely, got rid of his blog completely and only does his posts and messages on Facebook. He's definitely the biggest Facebook power user that I know and familiar with. But when I think about content that is driving comments and conversation, I often think of it as where do you want that conversation and comments happening? I really like to be able to, for me, I have a lot less need or want to actually comment in the bottom of a blog post. I'd rather actually, and this is what I do a lot of times, I actually click on the Google Plus or the LinkedIn post or the Facebook post of that same one and then comment on one of those platforms. Because I think the social commenting, the social engagement outside of Twitter, because Twitter doesn't really give us that full conversation, is actually more powerful and more dynamic than the comments of a blog. But I'm not saying that I don't love comments on blogs. I think blogs that either have Facebook or Google Plus integrated in their comment section is really nice. I do like Livefire, Disqus, and Comment Love. The rest of the ones that are out there that really allow you to have notifications. But if I'm going to comment, I want to follow up on those comments. And that's really why one of my favorite uses for Google Plus is I usually have a call to action and a debatable piece of content that I share on Google Plus each day, because my goal is to actually increase that conversation. I want people sharing and listening and learning from what I'm kind of talking about. I want to know what they're talking about, what they care about. And so that's one of the things for me that is kind of a big deal. I actually like to take the conversation from the blog to a social platform. Another thing that I really like is if you post your blogs on medium.com, this is a tool that had a huge impact on not only me getting back into blogging, but really the power of conversation and comments. Is it does a great job allowing you to comment in line. So you can actually highlight a paragraph in the middle of a blog and post a comment about that paragraph and then go back and forth with the community and share. And I really like that. I think that's maybe the future of blog comments, is it's no longer scrolling to the bottom and having someone say great post. It's the idea that I can highlight information almost like you would, you're highlighting Google Docs when you're commenting or white lining or doing an RFP, where you're actually giving feedback directly on the things that had an impact on you. Also a huge fan of, if you use any of those apps like Click to Tweet or Co-Promote, all of the ones that actually allow you to, if you're scrolling through and you like this one statement, it says click to tweet, and it actually gives it a 140 character tweet that allows you to tweet that out. I was talking about on the Social Selling Hour yesterday, for a blog post that Vala Asfar put together, and he had 5 click to tweets in there. When I went to share that blog post, rather than sharing it once from the share button across the bottom, I actually shared it all 5 times because I loved all 5 of those quotes. So it had the quote, it had the link, and it had his Twitter handle. And to me, he got 5 social shares out of that instead of 1. So one of the recommendations I would definitely have is look at things like that. Click to tweet, add this out, in line, being able to show and let them people share what's in line rather than kind of forcing them to comment on the bottom of a blog post. I think that's something that we're still trying to embrace, but I don't know how that fits into the scheme of social. So I like the ones that have it as a Facebook comment or a Google Plus comment, or customizing or upcycling your content. And so when you post it on Google Plus or on Facebook, on LinkedIn, customize that message. Don't just share the title of the blog post in the section. The title's already there. It's in the embedded section. But what you can do is you can actually lead someone in, give someone that reason to click or that reason to comment. I love putting something in there like, I completely disagree with what CMOs are doing and how they're spending their budget, as a topic on one of the blog posts that I shared recently. And I had 13 comments within 10 minutes, and this was on LinkedIn. So that's one of the recommendations I have. The last part I have here is based on a little bit of a rant. I had someone, I was talking to them about influencers, what influence really meant to them, and they kept commenting or talking about this book that someone wrote 4 years ago, and how this person had been a huge influencer for him for a long time, but nobody in their community knows who they are. And so I stopped and questioned them and said, how can someone be influential for your community if your community doesn't know who they are? And then I asked the question, do you have a relationship with this person? They said, oh, we do have a relationship with this person, but I don't think anybody in the community knows that relationship. So I wrote this blog post. It's called Influencers. Influence is about community and relationships. And I'll make sure to share that out. But for me, what I really wanted to focus on is, it's a 3-part relationship. It's the influencer. To find out who your influencer is for a brand, you have to talk and listen to your community. Influence means that your community is going to make a decision based on someone's comment, someone's content, someone's advice, someone's recommendation. If that community doesn't know that person or isn't familiar with your quote unquote influencer, they're not an influencer. Maybe they're, Beyonce and they have like a great name, but for the most part, think about the people in the community. It doesn't matter about the number of followers. It matters about the trust and relationship that person has with your community today. Not 4 years ago when they wrote a book, not yesterday whenever they decided to tweet and reply back to the community for the first time. I like to think of someone that, if you're looking at influence, it's not someone that talks about doing things or talks at the community or maybe just link drops at the community and says, hey, I have all of these followers and your community automatically shares me. Well, that's fine. You probably have an auto scheduler set up and you're just link dropping anyhow. Find the people that are engaged. It does the follower count. If all 200 people in your community that you want to influence is following this person, it doesn't matter that they only have 2,000 followers. It matters that they have a relationship and they care about that community. So that's kind of my rant on that. I have some really exciting influencer stuff in the works that I will be sharing with you guys very soon. I will also be at IBM Insights next week doing iSocial Talks from my mobile device. So keep your questions coming in for iSocial Talks live from Vegas there for the IBM Insight event, talking big data, IBM Watson, analytics. We're going to get into some fun stuff there. I'm also be doing a crowd chat live from that event, doing some Google Plus Hangouts, some video blogs, lots of fun stuff coming at you next week, live from IBM Insight Influencer event. But I leave you with this. We talked about mobile social tools. We talked about creating comments and conversation in your content. And then lastly, I talked about relationships and community and how that refers to, or how that influences your influencers or your influence decisions. Today and in our social digital age, what we have to worry about, or what we have to focus on, is embracing change, which everyone knows that's my passion, is teaching and leading change. We also have to focus on one-to-one of all these questions. What tools allow me to build the best one-to-one relationship? You know, it might be Facebook Messenger or Google Talk Messenger, because I do a lot of Hangouts from my phone, and I do a lot of Facebook messaging business work on my phone, and that's one-to-one conversations that really have a massive impact, not only on my social life, but on my career and what I'm doing at BroadSuite. And it's the same thing for content and conversation. The content that I share, oftentimes I get the best content, or the best comments on the community that probably is the least engaged with me on a day-to-day basis, which is Google+. Google+, I love the Hangouts, I love the community feel, and if I create really good content with really good conversation, they engage because I have a relationship with that community. So if you think of anything from this, I have to give a shout out to Ted Rubin, RNR, everyone pretty much familiar with him, and Tim McDonald, purveyor of purpose at BTC Revolution and a big supporter of No Kid Hungry. They have both had a drastic impact as mentors for me, not only from learning and becoming friends with them, but just watching how they do business. So relationships and community, I think, are the future of not only business, but if you really want to do social, if you really want to create engaging content, and you really want to be an influencer, you start with relationships, and you start finding out ways to show you care in your community. Brian Fanzo, thanks for tuning in for another iSocial Talks. Like I said, I'll be doing these 3 times a week. Hopefully you hit the subscribe button down below. I'll also be posting these up there in the podcast world so that you'll be able to listen to these via audio, since I understand I have a face for radio. Hope everybody has a great day, and keep those questions coming. Remember, iSocial Talks. I'm out.